I never know if it's better to start with the bad news or start with the good news and then get to the bad news. Do you want to get like the downer stuff out of the way so then you can enjoy the good stuff more? Or do you want to push back the bad news as far as possible? What's going on, guys and girls? It's Zach from Switchforce. We're talking about the features Nintendo is hiding in Mario Kart World. Clearly, they are up to no good, or in some cases, up to very good. This is Nintendo we're talking about, and they are not the company that's going to come forward with their best pitch right off the bat. They're the company that's going to make it a bit mysterious, make it a bit weird. They're going to think, oh, players are going to be so overwhelmed by the first trailer of Mario Kart World, thinking of a whole world. We got to slowly introduce them to this idea that Mario Kart has a free roam mode. And apparently there's nothing to do in that mode. But wait, we've got a Nintendo Direct scheduled for next Thursday. Can't believe it's already so close, by the way. And we'll get to talk tons more. First off, Nintendo would not have a Direct for this game unless they planned on revealing features, unless they planned on revealing major gameplay elements. They've shown you a ton of characters, they've shown you a ton of courses. Nintendo of Korea has accidentally shown you Rainbow Road, which people are calling like a leak or a spoiler. Come on now. Rainbow Road, Mario Kart, spoiler, leak. I mean, I guess they weren't supposed to show it, so by that count, it is a leak, but alas. Nintendo is doing this Direct because they have plenty to put in front of you, and they've made comments that 100% indicate that they are holding back. And this feels very Nintendo. In the Splatoon 2 trailer for Switch 1 presentation, Splatoon 2 just looked exactly like Splatoon 1. And then we learned about Salmon Run at the Direct, and then we learned how the game was different. Nintendo has already said things like, I would say tune into our Mario Kart Direct to see what maybe you'll be able to find out about that. When referencing free roam and not having much to do, they've said there's far more to free roam than we're talking about.
And once again, there's more to free roam mode than we're talking about here.
Yes.
So please stay tuned.
Absolutely.
For the dedicated Mario Kart Direct.
They clearly are hinting. They're teasing. They are dangling in front of us like bait. And you'd think with the $80 price point, they'd come forward and be like, dude, update the treehouse, let them know that there's so much more. But that's not how Nintendo operates. Nintendo does not do what the people tell them to do. Nintendo does what they tell themselves to do. And that's what you have to remember first and foremost. But at the same time, I think Nintendo does know under the curtain that, hey, raising this game to $80 is going to be a bit of an earthquake. It's going to be a bit of a shocker, and we're going to need to back it up. And while I think Mario Kart World looks amazing thus far and looks like lots of fun, I don't think it necessarily has that $80 oomph yet for a lot of players. Here's the two very good things Nintendo is going to introduce and reveal at the Direct, and then we'll get to the one bad thing as we move to the end of the video. First off, I think battle mode is going to be introduced in a big way, and I think there's going to be a heavy emphasis on the old style of battle mode, which is much more about survival, much more about deathmatch, and much more of like a knockout tour style, but in a battle arena. We've seen Mario Kart battles over the year go to be more accessible, go to be more friendly. There were 5 different varieties in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They're throwing shines in there, they're throwing bombs in there. They're making it all about like, how many points can you get? And I think that was to really appeal to a more casual audience and to try to make this game mainstream, and voila, boy did it work. They sold 60 million copies. I don't think they're complaining, but I do think they know that, hey, a more competitive style of multiplayer is very popular. Look at Fortnite, look at Battle Royale, look at games that do have knockout type modes, and look at Mario Kart World itself with its own knockout tour, taking the traditional Mario Kart gameplay and merging it with a much more modern and fiercely competitive video game style that allows people to have fun and take advantage of game chat. I think they are fully going to incorporate that into battle mode. We've seen nothing of battle mode, and I think battle mode could be very cool in a number of different ways. One, I think they could make huge tracks that take advantage of the open areas that we see in Mario Kart World, and they could make them 24 players as well. Now that may sound like absolute mass chaos, but I think there's a science to it where they could balance the size of the course with the number of players to make it very fun, very addictive, quick, but super competitive. I still think they're going to have many side modes with Mario Kart battles where they do incorporate these things that allow you to kind of hang in there, bump back even if your balloon's popped, and you can enjoy that with your kids or with more casual players. But I fully expect Nintendo to have an elimination style mode that is going to prey on the kind of gameplay that is so addictive in Fortnite, the kind of gameplay that is so addictive in Fall Guys. And Nintendo clearly is understanding that by Knockout Tour's inclusion alongside Grand Prix. They'll probably have some more traditional battle modes. They'll probably have a big 24-player battle mode, and maybe they're going to have a really spicy online ranked battle mode that trusts you to keep 3 balloons safe, and there's no takebacks. You don't get to pop back onto the course. It's just 3 balloons. How long can you make them last? And let's see if you can take, it's not going to be a chicken dinner. It's not going to be what could it be? The golden shell. I don't know what they're going to call it. I think battle mode is going to be a humongous feature, and I think it's going to be well represented at the Direct, and it's going to show out in a bigger fashion than what we'd expect. There's clearly a reason they showed none of battle mode in the trailers nor in the treehouses. They had hours to show this game. They chose to keep that under wraps. The biggest thing, though, that they're keeping under wraps is what the heck you do with free roam. Again, I think this is such a Nintendo way of introducing things. There's so much more to free roam. They're saying it, but they're not allowed to say it, right? Like I mentioned, I'd say tune in. Maybe you'll see more about that. There's more to free roam than we're talking about here. Check back in next week. They want to spill the beans, but those beans are on lockdown, and those beans are coming with a threat of you'll be fired if you talk about this, so they can't. There's no way they build this humongous open Mario Kart world and don't fill it with stuff. And we know that Nintendo is no stranger to filling games with stuff. I feel like they have actually packed a lot of strange single-player modes into many of their games, in particular Mario sports games, where you'd think they don't belong. So even if you don't think a single-player mode belongs in Mario Kart, now they're showing us they've got a free roam mode. You are so close, one step removed from a single player. I really think this single player mode is going to have challenges. I think it's going to have missions similar to Mario Kart DS, which I loved back in the day. I thought those were really fun. I think it's also going to have boss battles like we've seen in the different Mario sports games. I think there's going to be a way to cooperatively take on these challenges as well as individually take on these challenges. And I think the free roam mode is meant to be sort of not just, hey, let's goof around with friends, but the thing you do when you're taking a break in between your 200cc chaotic race fest. I think it's something that's going to help you unlock more and more costumes, more and more characters. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some very Nintendo ways to mix in different elements of Nintendo gameplay, but done Mario Kart. So yeah, like boss battles, like strange challenges, like things that you would see in a platformer, but now done up for a racer, a kart racer. I think it's 100% that there is more to free roam because Nintendo has said as much.
And once again, there's more to free roam mode than we're talking about here.
Yes.
So please stay tuned
Absolutely.
for the dedicated Mario Kart Direct.
And I think the thing that they're hiding is going to be a big story mode. I don't know that they're going to give us full-on cutscenes. We do see VO in Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's a big upgrade. And we did get stories in even like Mario Tennis Aces. All of a sudden there's an evil racket. There could definitely be some sort of evil big race. There could definitely be something tied to Rainbow Road. People have made theories about, ooh, Rainbow Road is directly in the middle of the bridge. It's right in the middle. It's going to be underwater. It's going to be up in the sky. Nintendo loves to transport you different locations. They love to take you elevated into space for different maps, super levels, secret levels. They love doing stuff like that. And I fully believe that we're going to get maybe not like a complete Smash Bros. Ultimate level single player mode, but I think there is going to be a single player mode that has some level of storytelling, whether it's just dialogue boxes and or whether it's voice acted itself. Nintendo is capitalizing on the cinematic nature, or what they believe can be the cinematic nature of their games and characters, and that's all influenced by the multimedia explosion that they've had at the theme parks and with their movies themselves. Now that gets us to the sad part. Right now, Mario Kart is feeling great. I think if you introduce a battle mode that has a more competitive aspect, that has a great online focus, that has multiple different options and feels like it is not standalone necessarily, but like it can exist as a way to play this game and really dive yourself into playing this game. Maybe there's some account progression, maybe there's things to unlock, maybe there's different badges, maybe they find a way to sort of incorporate some of the things they learned from Splatoon 3 multiplayer and bring that over to Mario Kart in a way to really deck out your kart and your character and your profile. They didn't really speak much of online or ranked modes or how that's going to work. We obviously know there are 24 players. We know that there's Grand Prix, there's Knockout Tour, there's Versus. How is that all going to factor in? I think Nintendo could introduce this customization, progression, battle suite as a big feature, and then single player, story mode, cooperative story mode will be a huge deal. The first time it's been done in Mario Kart, and Nintendo moving more and more into these like story mode type eras for their characters is very neat, very cool, and I think that will help flesh out this repeatability and durability that they're talking about, that will help justify the $80 price point, that will help make people feel like, okay, This Mario Kart not only has the tracks, the characters, the better graphics, the different modes, it's got enhanced online, it's got battle mode, it's got free roam, but the free roam isn't just, hey, me and you just, I don't know, we chat and then we drive in a few circles and collect some coins. Like, there's got to be things to get, there's got to be things to do, and there has to be a purpose and a point to it. Nintendo is trying to experiment and foray into new gameplay styles, but they still know that gameplay reigns supreme. And I don't believe Nintendo would just have a mode where you wander for the sake of wandering. That doesn't seem like Nintendo, does it? Traditional Nintendo, New Age Nintendo, they are all about the gameplay and delivering that fun experience. Free roam is like a Sony fun thing, but a free roam with a story mode and challenges, much more Nintendo based. But alas, I think Mario Kart World is going to 100% have paid DLC. You can disagree with me in the comments. We can talk about it. I'd love to hear your argument. But I don't think there is a world in which Nintendo looks at the success of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, looks at the success of how the Course Booster Pass revitalized that game, but more importantly, rejuvenated Switch Online to a point where people were buying the expansion pack just for Mario Kart Deluxe to double the track total. And I don't think there's a world where they say, hey, we're going to give that all to you for free. It's the main concession I've seen from people like, oh, maybe it's $80 because they've got this long-term DLC plan. They're going to gift it all to us, and that's part of the cost. No chance. Nintendo is going to double dip on you multiple times, in my opinion. I think there's a significant reason why many of the guest characters are not included in the base edition of Mario Kart World. I think there's a significant reason we haven't seen Link, we haven't seen Isabelle, we haven't seen the Inklings. I understand that Kirby is saved for Kirby Air Riders, and maybe they're not going to go ultimate with bringing in Samus and Pikachu, but Nintendo introduced those guest characters via DLC with Mario Kart 8 back on the Wii U, and I would bet my cat that they bring back paid DLC once again. I think that they will introduce new play spaces that is like a Zelda continent, a Splatoon continent, or maybe just a guest continent. I think you'll be able to drive around Hyrule Castle. I think you will be able to drive around Inkopolis. I think you'll be able to drive around Animal Crossing's island. I think they're going to utilize these as islands or different escapes, different maps to add DLC, add tracks, and add free roam content, story content, and characters. Now, when you hear it like that, when you see how it's a very multifaceted approach, hopefully it sounds not too terrible. Obviously, nobody wants to pay more for anything, but if Nintendo does it right, and they deliver in a way that the content is very multi-purposed, so hey, you can enjoy these races online or in Grand Prix, you can enjoy the free roam space in challenges and story mode, and hey, you can enjoy these characters wherever you want, they got costumes, etc. To me, there is no way that Nintendo does not have a long-term plan for DLC, because Mario Kart 8 had DLC, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that had a ton of DLC. Now you could say, well, they made Mario Kart 8 Deluxe free, but did they really? It was baked into the expansion pack, which was purposely placed so that you would have to subscribe to Switch Online, and they would get you in their system and get their online built up after eras where Nintendo Online wasn't great and wasn't really that popular. Maybe they do something similar, and maybe they help bake this into the expansion pack once again. But given that Mario Kart 8 was a port, moved to the Switch, and then added DLC, I think they are going to value that lower than what they value a brand new Mario Kart with a humongous open world and a style that Nintendo has never tried before. I think Mario Kart World DLC is probably going to be the perfect place for them to put their DLC into practice, and I think it will sell. Because if you ask me, would you buy a Zelda DLC pack where you can explore Hyrule on a cart? You can play as Zelda. There's challenges that maybe involve some enemies or different things from the Zelda world. The coins all change to rupees. And then I would do that again with some other Nintendo franchises like Splatoon, like Animal Crossing. Maybe they decide to bring in, who knows, Donkey Kong, something else. They add a Diddy pack, a Dixie pack, a Cranky. They could really go all out, and they could eventually build this to a Smash Bros. Ultimate level. On one hand, I think the reason they didn't include guest characters is because they want to segment these out to be able to live on their own, right? Kirby's getting his own darn racing game. He doesn't need to be in Mario Kart World. But at the same time, I do think that part of why there's no guest characters to be seen except a freaking moo moo cow, a snowman, and a coin purse is because they want to make you pay for it. And, we can get up in arms with the price of that. We can judge it once it's officially announced, but I'm just telling you, based on my years of following Nintendo, my years of covering Nintendo, my years of all of that, it would be foolish to think that Nintendo will not charge you for Mario Kart World DLC, and it would be ridiculous and dishonest of me to sit here and tell you, yeah, I think they're going to give it to you for free. I think they're going to, it's baked into the $80 cost. No. I think they're going to show you why the game is $80 next Thursday at the Direct. I think they're going to really bring an online suite and a single-player suite to merge together with what they've already showcased to build the best Mario Kart ever. But I think when the time's right, they're going to bring DLC. Now, do they introduce that DLC on Thursday? I don't know if they dare. They knew that people were going to be probably bothered by the price. Do they want to get right into DLC, or is that going to be saved for a Direct down the road? I would think the latter. I don't know that we will get a glimpse at DLC already. That doesn't seem like the Nintendo way. I think they're going to let people reap the rewards of this free roam / single player, enjoy the 80 plus characters that are already there, and then say, you know what? Like, it is fun to be the Bonefish, but isn't it more fun to be Princess Zelda? And I expect Zelda DLC to be the first DLC introduced later this year. We'll see. Mark my words, we will see. Nintendo is teasing a lot in this game. I think they've been building this for so long. They haven't had a new Mario Kart in eons. There's a lot to put into it, but boy, oh boy, is there a lot of money for them to make. And they know their properties are strong, and they know if they mix their properties, it's like wildfire. Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. 2 good, 1 bad. Battle mode online suite being excellent. Story mode being something really cool and new. Paid DLC, but it's bringing in your favorite guest characters. How do you feel about it? Are you ready for this world of Mario Kart? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. Switch Force out.